Next guest, the boy who KO'd T.O. He's a freshman at Syracuse University. He landed the interview that led to the suspension of Philadelphia Eagles Terrell Owens. Yeah, the man. Please welcome 19-year-old sports reporter Graham Bensinger.
From the moment I walked out onto the Tonight Show stage to shake Jay Leno's hand, it's been my goal to reverse the roles. And after 20 years of following up, we finally made it happen.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, yeah, good to see you every 20 years.
Sitting down at his famous garage in Burbank, California, in the chairs from his iconic show.
Oh, these are really uncomfortable chairs.
Leno's road to becoming the king of late-night TV was without a doubt the one less traveled.
I did every show.
How many?
I'm doing this show.
With stops at all kinds of bizarre places.
Yeah, doing prisons was not good.
A journey filled with potholes.
Smarten up, smarten up, smarten up!
And collisions.
People think, oh, I got the show and I just took it away from Dave. Dave never had the show.
But despite what's been said about him, it's clear Leno holds no grudges as he focuses on what matters most, his wife of 45 years.
It's basically what we did before, except now I have to feed her and do all those things. But I like it. I like taking care of her.
And his incredible car collection.
You bought it for $800,000
I bought it for
in
$800,000.
98, 99?
Yeah, the last offer I got was 20 mil, so.
Jay Leno, right here on In Depth.
You have been hired by some interesting folks over the years to perform stand-up as you were coming up. The sorority study hall?
Oh, those are just horrible jobs. So one of a sorority hired me to do a comedy show in the study hall. So I get to the first night and they say, okay, everybody shut up, everybody. Okay, we have a comedian. And people are studying, you know. So I start talking. Hey, we're studying, man. It's a study hall. We're a sorority. We're doing a comedy show. Okay, this is like a nightmare. Okay, so I just bomb. Terrible. And I have 2 more nights. Okay. I go back the second night. It's the same people studying. It wasn't funny last night, man.
And it's the same set, right?
Yes, I don't have to do material. So for the third night, will you go home?
What was the situation where a fully nude stripper popped out of a champagne glass?
Oh no, I used to work with
one?
2 strippers, Lily Pagan and I Need a Man. This is at the Hillbilly Ranch in Boston. I was like 19, and they were very protective of me. So one day I'm on stage talking, and she's like doing this with the water, you know. And guy goes, hey, comedian, you suck! She gets out of the tub naked, walks over, grabs him, boom! Breaks his nose, blood all over the place. Ah, all his friends are laughing. Just smashes his nose, gets back in the tub. She's naked. She says, go do your act, do your act.
And you performed everywhere, just state prisons, psych hospitals.
Oh, state prisons. There's a good one. I'm saying, you know when you meet a girl and you're not quite sure how to approach her? You know, this guy goes, just f her, man! You know, just punch her in the face and f her! You know, and I realized, I said, well, I think I said, thank you, Lefty, I appreciate that. It just made me laugh.
You would occasionally sleep in the alley behind the Improv in New York. You would occasionally...
Yeah, that was probably the lowest point. This was also an alley where prostitutes would bring the johns in, you know, and I'm often, you know, and I'd be in the dark, you know, and they'd be making whatever noises you think happen when you know, and I'm like, really, this is my life now? Just hiding from people having sex in an alley.
Do you remember the real estate ads for open houses and what you would do?
Well, that's something I would do, which it would be like open 12 to 3. So I'd get there at 2:30, walk through the house. Okay. Hello, thank you. Slam the front door and then go in the closet and just sit and wait for the guy to lock up. And I'd live in the house for 2 or 3 days. And then I was in a house on Coldwater. It belonged to one of the Beach Boys. And I'm sleeping, and I hear the realtor, well, now let me show you this room. The woman goes, oh, There's someone in the bed. No, this house is empty. And I'm sorry. Can I get dressed? Excuse me. We're calling the police. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. But I never stole anything. I never destroyed anything. I always fix it up. But I did that quite a bit. I lived on some beautiful houses on one on Outpost Drive, and I still go by it all the time now. And I think, I wonder what they've done with the room since I was in there.
You said one of your biggest regrets was that The Tonight Show came between you and Dave.
Newsmen always say things like, Americans were shocked today when they learned. Let's face it, nothing shocks this country anymore. They should just tell the truth. The world came to an end today. Most Americans couldn't give a shit about the whole thing.
Take me to everything you recall from the moment Johnny Carson walks into the LA Improv and then going up to his table.
He said, look, you're a funny guy, but your jokes are a little weak. Write your joke out, read it as flatly and as boring as you possibly can. If it gets a laugh, then you know you got a funny joke. Now, take your performing skills, the character, hey, what's that, Bob? Whatever it is, and apply that. Now you have a joke that works on two fronts. It's physically funny, and it's verbally funny. That was the best advice I ever got from Johnny.
I'm glad that you're all in a good mood tonight, because it's always a pleasure to introduce a new comedian to The Tonight Show. Would you welcome, please, Jay Leno.
Jay Leno soon made his first appearance on Carson and went on to guest host more than 300 times. When Carson finally retired in 1992, NBC had a decision to make: go with Leno or the host in the time slot after Carson, David Letterman.
People think, I got the show and I just took it away from Dave. Dave never had the show. Johnny preferred Dave, but NBC wanted to keep Dave where he was. That was a huge success. But I'm still you get Stern and all these guys still, Leno stole it. But I didn't.
You said one of your biggest regrets was that The Tonight Show came between you and Dave.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah. To this day, I still love Dave. It's still the greatest time of my career was going on with Dave.
Would you like a beverage? Are you going to be all right?
That's why I'm eating now.
I hope I don't have to Heimlich you later.
I'll tell you something.
Letterman was the first time I could go, hey, Dave, nice tie. Look at this tie in Letterman, And I couldn't, you couldn't do that to Johnny, because that would be an affront, So that's where I could really be myself and have a good time.
I was talking to your executive producer, who told me it would bring him no greater joy in life than to see the two of you reunited.
Oh yeah, I would like to do that. I think I have no problem. I think Dave might be awkward. Believe me, if Dave wanted to do something, I would do it. But I tend to get my hand bitten when I instigate those kind of things.
How so?
When Letterman had his heart attack, somebody from the show called me and said, listen, please don't say anything about Dave's heart attack. Okay, I don't say anything. Okay. 2 or 3 weeks later, I read the New York Post. The only person who didn't say, give Dave good wishes was Leno. I realized I walked into that. I just got set up by that.
More controversy brewed in 2004 when then NBC Universal president Jeff Zucker decided to hand The Tonight Show reins over to Conan O'Brien, despite Leno winning the late night ratings for 9 straight years.
I said, well, I got a 5-year contract. Well, yeah, but after that, you got to go. So I said, I'm still number 1. And then one of the guys at Zucker said, we want what's above number 1. I said, what is that? I said, guys, you want me out? I don't want to die of 1,000 paper cuts. You want me to leave in 5 years? I'll leave in 5 years.
Leno didn't leave, instead just moving to a new 10 p.m. time slot. But after his show struggled mightily, and Conan also dipped in the ratings, NBC swapped Leno back into his old role.
Zucker calls me and he goes, I think we made a mistake. I go, guys, you already made this deal. Okay. He said, well, how about this? How about you do a half hour at 11:30 and Conan does the Tonight Show from 12 to 1. I go, I don't care. If you think that'll work, fine. He goes to Conan. Conan says no and writes his thing.
Hosting The Tonight Show has been the fulfillment of a lifelong dream for me. And I just want to say to the kids out there watching, you can do anything you want in life. Yeah. Yeah, unless Jay Leno wants to do it too.
There was one quote from a Hollywood Reporter article. It said, Leno, he got what he wanted most in life, but there was a cost. From Carson to Letterman and O'Brien until his final departure. His is a reputation based on conniving and mistrust, of being the guy who you had to watch out for when your back was turned.
Well, see,
relentlessly driven and with a need for approval that bordered on insatiable, Leno will always be the guy who wouldn't leave. Your thoughts?
Most of that's probably true, but I don't believe the good stuff or the bad stuff. So when I read the quote that you just read, I go, yeah, all right, fine. Or if the quote easy, it said, Leno's the greatest comedian ever lived, I go, no, fine, thank you. So I just try not to, you know, the old adage, never fall in love with a hooker, you know. And he said, you know, education's not for everyone. I'm going, hey, I'm in the room, hello.
The naked stripper was into you once, and then you asked her for her number.
I got her phone number, yeah. I was like 19, I was a kid. I was working at a strip club.
So did you ever call?
I don't remember.
How many stand-up gigs do you do a year now?
175, 200 maybe.
When you were hosting the Tonight Show, how many would you do?
The same thing, because I realized that's a TV job, and TV jobs only last a finite amount of time. Sometimes they're 13 weeks, sometimes they're 22 years.
That is
a
very aggressive schedule on top of a
when you're
grueling
dyslexic
television
and
schedule.
you don't write anything down, you need to work all the time to keep. You're trying to carry 2 hours in your head all the time. So, yeah, so you need to do it all the time.
And what do you mean not writing anything down?
I don't really write anything down. I don't really write anything. I figure if it's funny, I remember it, you know.
How do you think dyslexia impacted you throughout life?
Here was a cure for dyslexia when I was a kid. Smarten up, smarten up, smarten up! I'm smart, I got it now, I'm smart. And that was sort of how you dealt with it. I remember when Mr. Neal, my guidance counselor in high school, he brought my mom in, and we were three of us sitting there. He goes, Mrs. Leno, have you ever thought of taking Jay out of school? You know, education's not for everyone. I'm going, hey, I'm in the room, hello. And then he says, you know, Jay works at McDonald's, and they have an excellent school where they teach you to make change. And I'm going, I don't want to work at McDonald's. So when I got to the Tonight Show, I invited him out, you know.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah, yes, because he's just doing his job. And it was fun. It just made me laugh. You
said nobody could make you laugh like your mom.
My mom had a very rough life. And as a child, her natural inclination was not to smile. You know, my grandmother had run off with another man, and they were kind of abandoned, and you know, my grandfather had 6 kids. They actually took my mom house to house, see if anybody wanted to adopt it, you know. So my mother stayed with this woman, Mrs. Nicholson, and she said to me, oh, and I loved it. She lived down by the dock, by the seaports, and she had so many uncles and brothers, and they always brought me a Tootsie Roll or a popsicle or some sort of little gift. And I said, Ma, it sounds like that was a brothel. And she went, oh. It never occurred to her. She went, oh my God, I think you're right. Yeah, that was always my life's goal, to kind of make my mom laugh, you know. Just to get her to smile.
Your dad, you wrote perhaps the defining incident of his life took place when he was about 13.
Have you ever heard of Italian Alzheimer's? That's where you forget everything but a grudge, you know. He got beaten up by these 7 guys one time. And he spent the next 10 years tracking down each one and just beating the crap out of him. Yeah, my dad was a tough guy.
What do you think you learned from him?
I think all the right things, you know.
Which is what?
Well, I try to be loyal to the employees and things like that. I've always had the same people. I believe that almost anybody can be fixed. You know, kindness seems to work pretty good. I had great parents. I was very fortunate. I can't imagine where I would have been without. Because, you know, you go down life and you think, I could go this road or this road. And each step of the way, you think of decisions that you made and where the influence was, you know. I mean, to this day, I'm still the one that, you know, tries to take care of the family, all the relatives, you know, because when they go home, oh, no, Jay gets the big meatball.
And your mom even said to you, at some point, she doesn't know what she would have done if not for you.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, that was probably the greatest thing my mom ever said to me. Yeah. I don't know what we would have done if you hadn't come along. To this day, gets me.
What sorts of looks do you get when you...
You know, people get out of the way. There's no road rage.
So this guy.
That's the McLaren F1. That's probably the most valuable car of this century, certainly.
You bought it for 800 grand
I bought it for 800 grand.
98.99?
Yeah, last offer I got was 20 mil, so. This is a Scorpion tank V. It's 1972. There's another one over here. This is the one I run around in the street on, this one here.
What sorts of looks do you get when you...
You know, people get out of the way. There's no road rage. You know, people, thank you. Especially that thing, yeah.
What's still on the list?
There is no list. If something interesting comes along, I'll see what happens, you know. I got pretty much everything. I mean, you know, if I do one oil change a day, it takes 18 months. That's Howard Hughes' car. Howard Hughes won 132.5 in this car in 1925. It is called a Doble steam car. It's the only steam car you turn the key and go. There's only about 3 or 4 of them left.
What made you decide to do all the fabrication of parts and the work
Well, if you
here?
want something done right, you do it yourself. This is a 1909 Baker Electric. This one is exactly as it was in 1919. In fact, the engine has been untouched. You know, electric engines don't really wear out, so. You want to hop in?
Sure.
Yeah, hop in.
What got you into this in the first place?
What, cars? Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, I came from a small town. Anybody next to me here?
Nope.
This was the iPhone of the day. This was your transportation. It's how you met girls. It's how you went places. It's how you did things.
Which are your favorite ones to take out?
I like all of them. I mean, I drive everything. It's like every girl you ever went out with still looks the same and is waiting for you.
Jay Leno has more than 200 cars and 150 motorcycles in his massive collection. Each one has a unique story behind it, especially the 1955 Buick Roadmaster.
Well, I met my wife in that car, yeah, and I think we had our first experience in that car. On our 25th wedding anniversary, I said, let's go back to where we first parked and made out in the car. And of course, you go back 25 years later, and you're not quite as agile as you were. I hit the horn, it's 1 in the morning, the lights come on in the porch, the guy comes out. Okay, this is not going to be the romantic encounter it was the first time.
You have said you guys couldn't be more opposite one another.
Well, I always tell people, marry the person you wish you could be. And that's what if I married another self-centered person who was funny, one of us would die. My wife does a lot of charity work and things like that, and it worked out great.
Why do you think the relationship has been so successful for so long?
You know, it's interesting. My wife never asked me not to do this. Why do you have to be on the road? Why do I have to go this? I always took her with me when I could. And we always had a good time. We always had fun. It's like we're on a date all the time, you know? We've been married 45 years. The first 40, unbelievable. The last 5 have been challenging, put it that way.
She obviously now has an advanced form of dementia.
Right.
What do you think for you going through that has taught you about yourself?
Well, I have never been particularly challenged. I was not in the Army. I didn't have to shoot anybody. I didn't have to risk my life. When I got married, you sort of take a vow, and will I live up to this? Or will I be like a sleazy guy? If something happens to my wife, I'm out banging the cashier at the mini mart. No, I didn't. You know, I enjoy the time with my wife. I go home, I cook dinner for her, watch TV, you know. And it's okay. It's okay. It's basically what we did before, except now I have to feed her and do all those things. You know, I do like pictures with the flashcards. Hey, that's President Obama. Remember we had dinner? Oh, not me. Yeah, honey, it was you. No, I don't think so. No, honey, it was you. We went to the White House. You know, I just have this. And you know, you have to find the humor in it.
You mentioned never having been challenged. What's been the most challenging part of this?
Well, that's the challenge, isn't it? You know, when you have to feed someone and change them and you know, carry them to the bathroom and do all that kind of stuff every day, it's a challenge. And I like it. I like taking care of her. I would rather be with her than doing something else. I mean, I think that's really what defines a marriage. I mean, that's really what love is.